With great pleasure, I am introducing you today Major General Bakshi. Having otherwise multifaceted personalities, I know all of you will say immediately that we happen to know him because on various national channels we have seen him how bravely he presents the viewpoint of India and how bitterly he attacks on the other side, that is Pakistan soldiers, when he is in conversation on any issue on national television. But dear friends, I am going to introduce Major General G.D. Bakshi in a very, very different perspective. You will be astonished to know that apart from being a brave soldier and a decorated officer, he is a scholar as well. I think you must be remembering that in our previous interview we mentioned that he has written one book on Soma, and we discuss various shades. In fact, today we were to discuss some details on his book that is known as Saraswati, but all of us who are sitting besides him, Mr. Vishisht, then Madam, then Mr. Praveen Vaid, we requested him that we'll discuss about the book sometime other, but today we would like to know the complete life story, which is full of bravery, full of decorated awards. So Mr. G.D. Bakshi, from the core of my heart and from my team side, I welcome you, sir, in this evening. And today we want to hear you that how and when you started your career, what were the impediments which came in your way, and how one by one you crossed them and reached at this age and stage where you speak fearlessly about our national issue. My all friends and colleagues will also help me to put questions on your career. Thank you very much, sir. Please, mic is before you.
Thank you. Thank you. You know, I was born in Jammu, and then my father was in the service of Maharaja Hari Singh,
Right.
Yes.
the ruler of Jammu and Kashmir state. He was the chief education officer
Ji.
of the J&K state forces, which is equivalent of the principal of the National Defence Academy. You know, there is a commandant, there is the principal.
Ji.
So the commandant looks after the military training, the principal looks after the academic training. So he was looking after their academic training. He was from the University of Lahore. He had done his MA in English and all that literature. So he was teaching there, and he was also personal tutor to Yuvraj Karan Singh.
Okay.
And a Darbari of Maharaja Hari Singh. So we were very close to the royal family.
Right.
Very, very. And then, of course, you know, the state got invaded, the state got merged with India, and all the officers who were part of the state forces, you know, the state forces became a regiment. It was called the Jammu and Kashmir Rifles.
Okay.
Right? And then my father, you know, he was, to cut a long story short, he was transferred to Jabalpur.
Okay.
So we drove down all the way in our Austin 48 car.
Yes.
My dad was very fond of her. He refused to part with her.
Okay.
Unlike we didn't have the 10-year, 15-year rule then. And he said she's British.
Okay.
And ultimately, after about 50 years, I think it was sold as a vintage car. Antique vintage car, you know. But he kept on. So the whole family, that is me, mom, dad, of course. We had my elder brother, who later became Captain Raman Bakshi,
Okay.
my younger brother and me,
Okay.
and we had an Alsatian dog. So we had that hatchback, so he used to be sticking his head out. We drove all the way from Jammu to Jabalpur.
Very long journey.
and very, very long journey indeed. And I remember those days there was no bridge on the Chambal River, so we had to cross by ferry and things like that. A lot of adventure.
Yeah.
And when we reached Jabalpur first, Dad just stopped the car because we were on a hill that overlooked the whole city. Now, from Jammu was of course the city of temples, but Udhampur is a small town, and those days it was even smaller.
Yes.
So there were mountains all around, Vaishno Devi this side, the hills of Bhadarwa that side. So when I looked at, we found a sprawling city, temples, cupolas, minarets. So Dad said, "Beta, this is going to be our new home." So I said, "But Dad, pahad kidhar hai? Where are the mountains?" He says, "No, I'm sorry, there are no mountains here. It's all flat and plain."
सर आप कितने साल के थे तो?
I was, I think, 9.
अच्छा
All of
वैसे
9
सर
years old.
अगर मेरे को if I am correctly remember, जबलपुर में तो मार्बल
Marble rocks.
Yes.
Marble rocks.
There is the
Dhuandhar.
Narmada goes through, there is a fall called the Dhuandhar, and from there the Narmada enters a narrow gorge. And on both sides, 200-300 feet high, pure marble. With various shades. There is some pink shade, blue shade, yellow shade. Rocks of marble.
Yes.
It's amazing. And that is the place where Adi Shankaracharya,
Yes.
Guru,
Yeah.
Padmapad, he had his ashram there.
Okay.
And he meditated there. So Jabalpur is got a tremendous amount of psychic energy.
Yes.
And if I may claim with great pride, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi came from there.
Yes.
Acharya Rajneesh was
Rajneesh.
Exactly.
Deepak Chopra is from Jabalpur. Arnab Goswami
अच्छा.
studied in Jabalpur.
I'll,
So
I'll add sir
huh?
Major General Bakshi
Yes.
also from there.
Yes.
Thank you. I mean, I'm
Yes.
honored to be in the company of such stalwart.
Yes.
But Jabalpur has produced its sets of luminaries.
Yes.
So we started staying there. We got a bungalow on Narmada Road. It was a bold British-style bungalow, huge, 2 acres almost around, and trees and trees and trees, banyan, people, mangoes, and servant quarters behind, so where your dhobi, aya, everyone used to be there.
Right.
Very British, old colonial kind of style.
Yes.
So we started studying in St. Aloysius School, Jabalpur, which is a 150 years old school.
Right.
It started by French priests, then taken over by Dutch priests. Very dedicated teachers and amazing people. I'm telling you something I haven't told the others.
Yeah.
So it is going to be new.
Yes.
And I thought rather than just repeating the same story, let me give you other facets of it.
जी.
So we had some great teachers. There was Mr. Banerjee, this bigger forehead. He was a gold medalist from Calcutta University in physics.
Okay.
But he was content to teach in a boys' school.
Right.
And that's what he did. And he was amazing. He used to, while he was he used to be in charge of the school laboratory. And he had his office there, quite clustered, and he would be reading newspaper, Nobel laureates papers.
Okay.
And then he used to make us do science talent experiments, color chromatography. In the year of the Lord 1966, we had built a laser,
अच्छा.
ruby laser in our school. He was that brilliant. And, he was there was some great personality, dedicated teachers. He was something like Goodbye Mr. Chips.
Okay.
Tie, old
Right.
combination coat and white trousers and things like that, and he would be cycling with his solar topi and come teach, and he was brilliant.
Okay.
So apart from physics, there was no topic on the earth on which he did not know enough, and all the IAS aspirants who were preparing for IAS used to come and sit with him, history and general knowledge, GK, everything they would learn from him.
Right.
I learned a great deal from him. He taught me quantum mechanics when I was in school.
Okay.
So he was exceptionally fond of me, and and he would spend hours discussing with me and all that. And then I had my school librarian, Mrs. Tate.
Okay.
She, she was somehow very fond of me. So normally you are allowed to take out 2 books, but I used to read a book a day.
अच्छा
So she used to give me, allow me to take out 4 books at a
तभी से
time.
fond of थे
Because- and my favorite haunt was the library. You know, and I spent most of my time there. I couldn't care less about my clothes. There was always ink on my school dress here, there, everywhere, crumpled and all that. So my elder brother, me and my younger brother, we joined St. Aloysius School. My elder brother went straight to the college, and he was the exact opposite of me. He was tall, smart, very handsome, great cricketer. He was the ladies' man. He was perfect that way. And then he decided to join the army.
Okay.
So he joined the army.
So the tradition started with your elder brother.
With my elder brother, actually with my father, because he had served the regiment.
Yeah.
He had served the regiment
Yes,
for so many times, and
Right.
so my elder brother joined the army. So then, he was finishing his tenure in the IMA. So he asked my dad, what regiment should I join? He said, you got any doubts? You will join the regiment, the family regiment of Jammu and Kashmir Rifles. And he joined the 11 JNK Rifles. He became a captain. 1965 war. Just before that, he came home and, we used to go and see off. The whole family used to go and see him off. And, and then he was on I'm talking of 64 or 65 beginning. 65 beginning.
Before the war.
Before the war started. So he was there. We got into the train started. So my father walked along with the train and he stood in the doorway.
Yes.
Till, the train vanished from sight, he kept waving. That was the last resort.
Okay.
Because he somehow had a premonition that he was also seeing his family for the last time.
Yeah.
Of course, we didn't realize it then, that this was the last glimpse we were having.
Yeah.
So dad also waited at the platform till the train vanished. The last dabbe ka back vanished from there. And he was still waving out, whoa, in the distance. And then the 65 war started. And last day of the war, quite obviously, my parents were worried sick. So those days there was no television, you used to hear the radio, so we used to hear one morning news, afternoon news, night news, and only after he had heard the night news he would stop. Now my brother had bought for him a tape recorder with chote spool wala hota tha. My father was very fond of hearing classical bhajans. So he used to go and record them, jo koi aate the. Jabalpur mein bahut culture hai. A lot of these classical singers come and all that. So, he used to record them and listen to them. So, last news was heard and he was listening to the bhajans. And suddenly, I didn't even hear the postman or something. He suddenly went out and then he ran in. He switched that thing off, the tape recorder, which was my brother's gift to him. And he just held his head in his hands. So, and he wouldn't say anything. So my mother came, she said, what, is there something in the news? I said, the news is okay, I think they are about to have a ceasefire. They are talking of a ceasefire, so the news is fine. Nothing in the news and all that. Then she asked him, kya hua ji, kya hua? And I asked him, Dad, what happened here? You tell us and all that. He just held up a pink telegram. Missing पुराने जमाने के telegram आते थे. Regret to inform you that your son, Captain SR so and so, EC, so he was emergency commission. Captain Srishti SR Bakshi killed in action.